The reading today is taken from Matthew chapter 5, verses 13 to 20 from the New International Version that I'm reading. If you would like to follow it, it's in the church Bibles on page 4 in the New Testament. Salt and light. You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt loses its saltness, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. The fulfillment of the law. Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them. For truly I tell you, until heaven and earth disappear, not the smallest letter, not the least stroke of a pen will by any means disappear from the law until everything is accomplished. Therefore, anyone who sets aside one of the least of these commands and teaches others accordingly will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever practices and teaches these commands will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I tell you that unless your righteousness surpasses that of the Pharisees and the teachers of the law, you will certainly not enter the kingdom of heaven. Thanks be to God.
Thanks, Hannah. Thank you. It's really important how we live our lives. People notice how we live our lives. People are always watching how we live our lives. And that is kind of vital that we kind of get these things right. But if you're anything like me, I'll often get it wrong. Sometimes I get things wrong. Sometimes I even lose my temper, it has to be said. Sometimes I get completely frustrated, and sometimes I find it hard because I think someone's going to point at me and say, call yourself a Christian. I've met many people over the years, particularly when I was a hospital chaplain, who used to tell me all kinds of stories. And poor Mrs. Jones always gets it here. Mrs. Jones, I don't think we got one, but never mind. But Mrs. Jones, you tell me about you talk about being Christian. Mrs. Jones, well, she's a saint when it comes to a Sunday, when she goes down to her chapel, and she's a good old Christian lady. But on a Monday, she's like the devil himself. We all know about the Mrs. Jones of the world, but how we live our life, it makes a difference. And Jesus says, he doesn't say you are to be, he says you are salt and light. You are these things. You are to make a difference in the way that you live your life. You will make a difference. There's no, you might possibly make a difference. You will make a difference. It's incredible how many people have over the years come to me and asked me. Somebody came, I was in Morrison's a little while ago, and this lovely, lovely lady came to me, young lady, and she said to me, can you just tell me why you're always smiling? Oh, well, I'm a smiley person. Well, at the moment, I've got hardly any teeth while they work it out, but never mind. One day, in a few months' time, I'll come with a nice new pair of gnashes, and you'll all be, you'll be dazzled by the kind of the light coming from them. But, can you tell me why you're always smiling? And I said, well, I'm just a smiley person. I just like to smile at people. She said, every time you come in here, you make such a difference because everyone walks in miserable and you smile. Well, thank you. That was really nice to be told that, that smile in itself just makes a difference. You are salt and light. How we live our life, we make a difference in the lives of others. And we are salt and light, not just as individuals, but we're salt and light as a Christian church. As we kind of talk in the leadership team, as we talk in the different groups that we have here in this church, it's important because we are working out God's purpose in our lives as we reflect God's glory. This place is called to be a beacon of light. Now we know maybe I should stand at the kind of outside for a few hours and smile at people as they're stuck in the traffic. Maybe that'll make a difference. But when people sort of ask me, where are you a minister of? And I say, well, Hippo, oh, that one at the crossroads. Yeah, that one at the crossroads. Yeah, they know it because they're stuck outside. And you and I are making a difference. And it's just lovely to be able to do that. We are called to make a difference. We will make a difference because we are to be salt and light in the world. We are to be salt and light, and to do that, we actually call on God's Holy Spirit to come and make a difference in each and every one of our lives. The Holy Spirit is doing amazing things. It's great to hear what God is doing in the world today. There are, at the moment, seems to be, I've heard a lot of conversations about saying, oh, well, in 20 years' time, in 30 years' time, will we be here? Well, actually, I believe we will be here because unless Jesus himself has come back, of course. I do believe we will be here because Christ calls people to make a difference. At this moment in time, we find ourselves in a group gathered here in this place to worship God. But not just to do that, we are called to be looking outside. I get really excited when I get to speak in Alpha about the things of God. I think it's really lovely. I think we've got a lovely group of people meeting together. I know at least one of them's here. But it's lovely to be able to do that and to be able to communicate with one another and talk about the things of God. And that's what we need to do. That's what we are going to do this morning after this service. We'll be talking about the things of God. Oh, it might have things like finance in there, and it might have kind of worship in there, and it might have other headings in there, but it is about the work of God in this place. And I am so excited to be a minister here in Christchurch. That excitement doesn't go away. Pamela's here as well, and she would absolutely want to echo that because we are excited about the work that goes on here in Christchurch. Christchurch is to be a beacon of light. Because people, they are frustrated outside. I think we've got a real challenge. I used to go in Bishop Auckland. There used to be this church. I used to love driving by it because they used to have these humorous posters, the ones, the wayside pulpit. And it was kind of like, and it really made you sort of chuckle to yourself and you think, oh, that's really clever, and that had a kind of a place like this. But, people are stuck for ages out there. I know I'm one of them. I think the first time I came here to preach, I could see people looking outside thinking the bridge is not coming. And I've been stuck outside for about 5 minutes thinking, I'm here. I just can't get through the traffic lights. How are we going to work that out in our lives and also in our church? We are to be salt and light. How are we going to make a difference? What does it need to be done? Well, I'll just tell you a little story that the Anabaptists, now we're not going to do this. I will say this, we are not going to do this. Some of the Anabaptists of the 16th century had a very literal take as they looked at Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. Those that were deemed in the congregation to have lost their saltiness lay at the threshold of the door. And the rest of the congregation, as they were leaving the service, would walk on those who had lost their saltiness. That's a bit horrific, isn't it? That's how they took these words. But actually Jesus was just saying to people, as you live your life, make a difference. Let people see that you have got the light of Christ in your life. Make a difference in the society which you find yourself. When you're asked for your opinion, give your opinion and do that with a kind of, in a sense, saying, the old brace that used to say, what would Jesus do? What would Jesus do? What does Jesus say in this situation, that situation? Live your life in a way that makes a difference. You might not realize it's making a difference, but it does, because people will be looking to you. People are always watching you. They see people go into this place and they wonder. Lots of people, wasn't it wonderful when we had the Christmas tree lighting? and see all this place full of people. Wasn't that a great joy? I thought it was a great joy. You do agree, don't you? It was lovely. It was absolutely lovely. And that's about being salt and about being light. So how are we living our lives? How do we continue to serve God here in this place? How can we continue to make a difference? Well, we'll be coming to some of those things very shortly as we come to our meeting. But for now, this is a homily, so I am not going to keep you any longer. We are going to press on.